Hey guys, I have another update on the Mustang here. I didn't think I really had that much to talk about from the last video until I sat down and really quick made a cheat sheet before I started recording here to try and remember everything. So there's a lot to get to actually, so we'll get to it here. Since the last time, I did drop the fuel pump out of the car, or the tank, and replace the pump. That was a real pain in the butt. It was really rusty, and when I dropped it out and down, the ring that holds on the top of, or holds the whole assembly down in the tank was pretty much growed fast to the tank itself. So that took a lot of cussing and screwdriver smacking and hammer and penetrating oil and all that fun stuff. But it did finally come out, and I pulled out the factory in-tank pump, this little tiny guy right here, and put in an AEM 320 liter per hour pump. Now I'm probably going to end up putting another pump in line, but this one should be enough to get me up and running and should see some boost. It's supposed to support a good amount of power. I just want to be on the safe side, so I'll probably put another inline pump in it, but this one should support me. It should support the turbo, but we'll see. I don't want to blow anything up. So after the pump went in, put that back up in, and the next day I actually have injectors in the car finally. These are the Siemens Deca 80-pound injectors right there with the blue tips. I got those, the old ones pulled out and the new ones put in. I'm still using the truck fuel rail, which I'm going to paint that today because it's annoying me. Let's see, I had to make spacers for the fuel rail since these injectors are much taller than the stock injectors. Let me see, I can actually show you that. Injector. Here's a length of a stock injector, and as you can see, I mean, where they sit down in, they're much shorter. They ended up being almost an inch shorter, something like that. Maybe not an inch, maybe half an inch. So I got those put in and then had to make the spacers. Now for the spacers, I had to go buy new bolts because they needed to be longer. So these bolts right here are, I believe, M8 by 1.0. And then I used 3/8 metal brake line and cut this to the right length, and then got these mounted nice and solid on all four corners, and then had to use some washers and crap because this doesn't like the truck doesn't like to line up perfectly with the LS1 intake. Okay, so that's the fuel system finished up for the moment. I also got my wastegate line ran. Drilled and tapped a hole into the intercooler pipe. Let's see if we can get down and see this. Can we see that? Oh, it's over here. Well, anyway, I drilled and tapped down over here facing forward, just a brass barb into the intercooler pipe, and then the lower port from the wastegate here has a rubber line that just runs into that for boost reference signal. So that's the wastegate line. Also, I had installed and made brackets and stuff for this oil catch can right here. I just had this laying around. I'm pretty sure it's just an eBay jobby. And what I did was I took the factory line that was running out of the valve cover over here and cut off the end. And it was that hard plastic stuff, so I just slipped over rubber line, which is an oil cooler line, I believe, and ran that over here to the catch can setup, and then put a brass elbow in this, and I'm just venting it type deal with a little filter. So I just made out of some 6061 aluminum a bracket that holds us here to the fender. So that's my catch can setup. Now we'll go in here for a minute. Got the MSD and Megasquirt tucked up. Made some 6061, wonderful stuff, I love it. I use it for everything. Made some brackets there that bolt down there to that box to hold up the MSD box, and tucked all the wiring up. Now the rest of this wiring needs to get tucked up. The rest of the way I just want to make sure before I do it the rest of the way that where everything's where I want it to be, and that nothing else needs changed. Like, I just had to wire in my wideband to the Megasquirt box, and the line for that was actually the Megasquirt wires are actually the ones I'm not using are wound up and sitting on top of the MSD box there, so I had to pull that down and wire the wideband into the signal wire in the Megasquirt. The Megasquirt I mounted right here. It came out really nice. It just sits down here, and I can see all the lights nice and everything, make sure it's working. Get the shifter out of the way. And for that, I just took off the case, and we probably won't be able to see. Took off the case and TIG welded it to an aluminum cross piece, and then drilled some holes and bolted that up together to the bottom of this metal frame that's under this surround thing here. So I just TIGged that onto the case, and then I could mount the case up nicely. I also wired in, this is just temporary location for the moment for testing, but this switch is for switching on and off the fuel pump with key 12-volt power. It's really nice for wanting to test things. That way I can turn on 12 volts and the fuel pump's not sitting there just running. I also wired up, this is the two-step retard or ignition cut switch. So this is on a temporary switch for the moment. I'm going to mount this somewhere. I think I'm going to put a brake in the car, and I'm going to mount this somewhere on the shifter handle that it's easily accessible, so I can sit and hold, or however I figure out how to mount it. But whenever I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking I'm going to put a brake in the car and then wire everything together. We'll see how that goes. It's a Turbo 400, so it should be pretty simple. So that's my wiring all done. And all this. I did get some seat belts for my brother. I have to put I bought from Jegs there's little mounting tabs. Do I have yeah, these. I gotta put these in yet. Okay, there's a glare. Those are not a glare in the car. They're just metal mounting tabs that you weld on to your crossbar here for your upper seatbelt mounts. But I have the lower ones in so far. They're just mounted in here for the moment. But I have to weld the tabs on the top, and then I can run the two top ones. But I'm gonna wait because I gotta finish the cage anyway here, and then I'll get them on there. Now, what the current issue I'm running into is I'm fouling all of the plugs in bank 2. Bank 1, all the plugs are great. They look perfect. Bank 2, and that's why I have all the wires unplugged here, ignition wires, or spark plug wires. The bank 2 here, fouling all the plugs. I have no idea why. Originally, I went through and pulled all the plugs, and I have them out, I'll show them to you here. The front coil here was dead, so I replaced that coil, so now I have 4 firing coils on this bank. Now the tune's identical. It should be from bank 1 to 2. It's batch fire, so let's see. The plugs are here. So this is the plug from bank 1, and these, focus, look great. They look fine. They look alright. All 4 plugs from bank 2 look like that. That's the front one. And this is anti-seize on there. That's the front one. This one not as bad, but still covered. Third one back. Same deal here. And the rearmost, this one looks better yet. This one's still probably firing. But this one, the third one, is probably intermittently firing. And I don't think it's firing, actually it might be firing this one intermittently. It's about half covered. And I'm pretty sure it's definitely not firing this plug. I mean, that's valid. And it's not wet. It's just a black carbon soot on there. So I have no idea why it's doing it to bank 2 and not bank 1. Everything's identical between the two. So power comes in through the MSD box and into the separate bank 1 and bank 2 connectors. These guys. Of course, this might not want to pull out nicely because I want to pull it out. But like, this is bank 1, should be bank 1. Cylinders 1357. So I'm not sure why it's doing that. That's the current mystery that I'm trying to figure out, because the car, it'll start, it idles. I ran the warm-up wizard. It's pulling like 14.4 to 15.0 on the air fuel gauge on the wideband. It looks great when it warms up, and then when driving it around, it sounds like it's on all 8, and then I try to drive it a little bit and give it a little bit of gas, and it fouls all the bank 2 plugs. And then it sounds like it has a miss. It sounds like it's only firing on 7, 6 cylinders, which is killing power. And it's frustrating at this point because I have all the components together and it should be ready to go, but I'm still bashing my head against the wall with that. So I'll figure that out and get another video and update and all that. I found my other corner light, and then I replaced all the headlights and everything. I'm going to polish these lenses so they're back to looking better. I do want to start doing body work on the car and paint it. Another issue I was having that I thought was the reason causing the bank 2 plugs here is, and the lack of boost, was that I might have merge pipe leaks, intercooler piping leaks, which I did. I pulled off the intercooler, or the merge pipe here, and I will show you. I made a tester setup here. So this is like a cheap setup type deal that I bought all the components for, and it works wonderful. This is a $40 400 watt smoke machine from the Halloween store type thing, and it's great. It holds, you put your liquid smoke in here and you let this get hot, and then I made a whole kit here of stuff to properly test everything. So this is my little wand wizard thing. I just plug that in to the smoke outlet right there and turn that on, and then I can guide around the smoke. Or I made little ends here. So here's one. This is for the LS intake. This bolts, this is a coupler from Lowe's. It's a 4 to 3 inch. It's close. I might have to find something else because the LS throttle body is like 375. But so my hose goes on this end and this clamps, and then I can smoke the intake. This is where I found that the rear bank 2 rear 2468 number 8 injector was leaking. It was puffing. It was pouring smoke out from below the lower injector O-ring, and I found out the rail wasn't seated the whole way, and that spacer I had originally made was too long. So fix that. Now there's no more smoke or leaks from the intake. So I have made a whole set for smoking purposes, and then these are plugs for like intercooler piping. And this is an adjustable plug. These things are great. I don't know if what you need to see is on here. 4-inch gripper. And then this opens or makes it bigger and smaller, this rubber insert, and then you can just put this in your intercooler pipe and plug the pipe with ease. So this one fits, actually shrinks down pretty small and fits in the upper coupler there. And then here's a little one. I bought enough stuff to do Volvos because obviously we do lots of Volvos too. So I bought all this different stuff, and then these, this is for this is a 3-inch fill. So this is a 3-inch PVC cap, drilled and tapped for NPT. And then this is a quick chuck disconnect type, or a disconnect for an air hose. So you clamp this in your intercooler pipe on one end, and then you use the appropriate plug. You'll plug the other side of the intercooler pipe on here, so this will run through your intercooler pipe and your intercooler and then out the other pipes, and seal everything up tight. And then I bought this from Harbor Freight. This is a little regulator guy, and the air compressor plugs into this side, and then you can control, focus, you can control how much air you let pee through the line and into one of these, if I can do this one-handed, one of these fill caps that's clamped in your intercooler piping. So you set this, now remember this doesn't bleed off the pressure, so you have to go at little spurts and then release the pressure, or you'll hear it if it's leaking and you just let it kind of bleed off. So you fill it up and you check for your leaks, and this works great. So this you can smoke. I smoked the intake, and then I also I didn't actually smoke the intercooler piping. I pressure tested that to see if I had any boost leaks, and I did. I found one on the left side of the intercooler. Coupler was not fully seated, and on the right elbow going up in. So I did have boost leaks. I did have merge pipe leaks, because the merge pipe I pulled off and I sealed up and I smoked it. I used the smoker, the smoke machine, and found all the smoke pouring out of little pinholes in the welds and re-welded all that shut. So anyway, I've probably rambled on for plenty long enough now. I'm going to try and figure out bank 2, and I'll get back to you guys. If you have any ideas, feel free to let me know in the comments or shoot me a message or whatever. I'm confused. I'm stuck. I don't know if it's a tune issue. I got to get some logs and post on the turbo forums yet, and we'll see what happens and go from there. Alright, thanks for watching.